you do have a course as a segue, the Pay Yourself course. How did that come about?
I still have to work on it a little bit, so maybe we're not going to hype it too much.
Okay, let's not hype it then. He doesn't have a course.
Right.
Don't
go look side note about courses. Courses are significantly harder than you think they are to launch, especially in the finance space. Because when it comes to marketing, you guys have a course, right?
Yep, we have courses.
Courses. When it comes to things like marketing, you can exclude so many people and be like, this is the type of marketing we teach, this is the type of business we teach, blah, blah, blah. With finance, even something as simple as paying yourself, which in the grand scheme of financial concepts is relatively simple, is still actually mega complex because you have to account for profit levels, revenue levels, entity types. Because I don't know how it is in Canada, but in the US, depending on what type of entity you have, you pay yourself differently. Like there's different legal requirements, right? So now your course has to get into the weird legal requirements and how are we dealing with taxes? Are we accruing them in an account or is that just the owner's problem? What about bonuses? And it's just there's so many fringe situations. It's kind of why it's so hard to have a course on doing your own taxes. You cannot possibly cover every fringe situation. Eventually you get to a place where it's sorry, you're gonna have to figure this one out, with you guys in your course. I haven't taken the course for everyone listening, so I have no idea what's inside it. But if I want to teach someone about cash flow forecasting, that sounds simple, right? Mm-hmm. But okay, so I teach someone how to do the spreadsheet, right? I teach someone how to use the software. I teach someone how to ask the questions to use a spreadsheet to forecast revenue. But as you keep going and getting wider and wider and wider, you eventually hit a point where you can't teach it, where you have to experience it or you have to kind of be thinking in a certain way. And that's the problem with courses. And maybe that's the problem with me and how I like my contents to be all inclusive. And maybe that's why the newsletter works for me.
Yeah.
Full circle.
It's a good newsletter. To your point, courses are super difficult. We took the approach of most professionals that we speak to know how to forecast in some way, shape, or form. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. Maybe that's a presumption. But we talk a lot more about the structure around it, the processes, the things you should think about, like scope creep, items like that. I would love more marketing in it, but like you say, at some point you got to draw the line because you can't have 10 encyclopedias worth of information. People aren't going to watch or read that. So it's a super interesting space.
Yeah. And then the problem is once a course becomes too big with too many topics, you're going to turn away people that don't care. I'm not going to pay $5,000 for an all-encompassing course when I only want $1,000 worth of it. Right. Yeah. That's a side note. Everyone says you should make a course. And then when you go and try and make the course, much harder than it seems. It is not passive income in the fucking slightest. Whoever said that?
No, not unless you're a TikTok superstar and your course is all fluff.
That's the thing. If your course is fluff, and maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe I'll make a course that explains what the hell a payable is. Just be wages payable is never the account you want to put it in. It will never be the account you want to put it in. I have a bunch of clients since I'm a compliance accountant that still do their own books. And one client was always booking his wages expense into wages payable. It drove me nuts. So I eventually renamed it to not this one, wages payable. And it fixed the problem. Problem solved.
It's funny that stuff gets confused all the time. Yeah. And as soon as it's on the balance sheet, it stays there.
Right. So maybe I should go update my template chart of accounts and I'm just going to name all my payables, not this one. Right? Which is a whole other rant for another time, why I dislike balance sheets and how part of my problem is with how payables are never correct. But anyway.
Yeah. So I'll open up the floor here because we were supposed to have a Q&A period. So I'll offer that opportunity to people that are remaining.
We can keep going. Does
anybody have any questions for Michael? Well, we've got him on the line.
I don't have a meeting after this anymore, so I am.
That's good.
Good too.
We're just going to monopolize your time. Don't worry about it.
They canceled yesterday, and I was like, that's all right. Better this way. I didn't feel like it. Or I can just keep talking shit about CFOs and balance sheets, whichever anyone wants.
I don't know if there's any questions because I can't. Doesn't.
Oh, is it like a Q&A thing?
Beverly's raising her hand.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Go.
So I've been following along. So I'm not a CPA. I'm not a CGA. So I'm a bookkeeper. But as you can gather, I'm old enough that I've come through the ranks. I have the gray hair, all of it.
Yeah.
And I do remember.
I've got a few myself.
I do remember the individual ledgers. And it was that you used to be able to kind of work with people to get your net 30 days. Now everything is so far removed from personal and interaction that it's like everybody sends stuff. So it just becomes like, oh, accounting spam, I'll get there. It really does. It just becomes accounting spam. I'll just work through the process and get through it as I get there. But I'm also finding that there are some industry, construction being one of them, is going to be a really, really hard nut to crack because the bigger players definitely control the field and they oftentimes only issue checks once a month if they're still in the dinosaur age. And they'll have their cutoff about the 24th or the 25th of the month. And if they didn't get it stamped by that date, then you just can, it's okay, just wait another month.
Yep.
But some of the other pieces that you touched on, I mean, I was sitting and I was sorting mail while I was listening, but by the same token, you made my ears pick up a bit. So you did not bore me. I just multitask. So if you were wondering what I was doing, I was literally sorting out bank statements because they like mailed bank statements sometimes. Lord only knows why.
Yeah.
You know, but you were absolutely correct about what kind of an advisor are you? Because I've lived a long time, I have a lot of opinions about a lot of stuff based on my experiences and skill set and everything else that is not going to match anybody else's.
I think as far as what advisor you are, the industry likes to try and tell us what advisor we should be. But it really comes down to like, of all your opinions, which ones do you enjoy the most and which ones could you lecture clients on the most? So like something like with the construction, right? That whole concept of construction companies only pay once a month on the 25th because they're outdated dinosaurs is not something that's taught in accounting degrees or in general accounting thinking, because the idea is that accounts payable should be run more often. But that is an important aspect of construction cash flow advising, right?
One of the other pieces that's really interesting is that, okay, so you only pay once a month. It doesn't mean we only give you an invoice once a month. I look at it and go, they're getting one every single week. So if we get cut short for 4 days, oh, well, I'd rather take the loss for 4 days than just try and hit that one date cutoff so I can get as much as possible into it. And it's like, I can't imagine the sales manager who goes, but why would I waste my time? And I said, perfect. We'll pay you when we get paid based on your efforts. You like to cut it down to the last minute. And so that we've actually paid people for a whole month before you're going to send a bill. And it's going to be another 30 days minimum after that before it gets paid. That's when you'll get paid. How does that work? Well, no, I need my check every 2 weeks. Sorry, you're now shit out of luck. And it's like, but you can't do this to me. But that's what you're doing. You're strangling the cash flow. You're literally strangling it. Why would you wait? It's just because it takes longer to just sit, because it takes a long time to do it. I said, really? You have to now have, instead of spending 15 minutes in a day to get all the stuff done for that day that's finished, and send off an invoice versus spending an entire 8-hour day when you don't have the time to try and make it fit into that timetable? Do you just really like adrenaline and crisis management? Is that really what drives you? Because if that's the case, this is not the job.
In my experience with the construction industry, the reason it's like that is because as construction companies grow, finance was never part of their concern. The original owners are tradespeople that are really good at whatever. And finance is something they had to figure out. And not that they don't necessarily see the value in it, but like for example, in the construction thing, even though I only do service businesses, I got a referral recently. It's a construction business with like 30 plus employees, probably doing millions a year. And they have like a secretary doing the bookkeeping, right? So what winds up happening is like, they don't see the value in it and they just do it because they have to, and they relegate it to one day and they don't see the problem. And I think what I guess going back to a prior point, like this is the kind of soft skill cash flow advising, because that is not how finance should be run. But the reality is that knowing how the other companies play their games and paying and working around it is unfortunately a big part of cash flow in the construction business. And that's why I don't like dealing with it. That like cash flow forecasting is important because so many companies are being assholes about it, paying once a month. So you have to forecast to make sure you don't run out of money 3 weeks through the month. And just that kind of advice of coming in and being like, I know most construction companies want their invoices in by the 20th or you're not getting paid for another month, is something that a traditionally trained accountant that's never worked in the construction space wouldn't be aware of. Yeah.
Book knowledge is not the same thing as actually doing it. You can watch as many YouTube videos as you want to about how to use a power drill. The reality is very different.
Yeah. I don't fix my own electrical. Like, call a guy.
Yep. I know my limitations. Electrical is not one of mine. And the unfortunate part, what you're saying is very true. Looking even in manufacturing, go out and sales is what's really important. Old school sales are what's really important. We don't care about what happens in the back end. So I'm kind of like one of those people who likes to let people experience what they think they really want. So then it's kind of like, okay, I'm going to time this really well. I'm off for 4 weeks. I don't have a replacement, but you and the sales guys, you just keep going gung ho and you make sure that the shop keeps running. But when you run out of stuff, you do realize that somebody's going to have to pay bills in order to get more supplies, in order to manufacture more, in order to do that, right? Oh, yeah, it's no big deal. I can do it. He lasted 4 days of my month off. I don't know how to do this. It's okay. Anybody can do it. You told me so yourself.
Yeah. And maybe that's
it sounds horrible, but again, this is way back when. It's not something I've done recently, but I find that there have been along in this journey, there are people who are adamant that they absolutely know what's best, but they have no clue what business really is. They have an idea and a concept, but they do not understand the structured underpinning that regulations require, for one, and that if you don't do it, I'm sorry, but that bank account you want to pay your people with might not have any access for you for a while because you didn't do the compliance part because you didn't deem it to be important.
And that is the problem, I guess, with advisory, that a lot of people do not see the benefit of basic compliance, let alone the benefit of you coming in and saying, this is how it should be done, because they view it as accounts payable is just, paying a bill. It's super simple. Anyone can do it. And it's like certain industries, like I guess it's part of the reason I also don't work with construction companies, because a lot of them have that mentality. Not to shit talk construction people. Like I've got a lot of my old school compliance only clients are tradesmen, great people, some of them very sharp business people, but it's always this uphill battle of being like, finance is your limiting factor. Like, I'm sorry, that's what it is. But they don't see the value. And one of the problems with advising is the thought leaders of accounting think everyone wants it, but a lot of businesses either don't know what it is, need to be educated what it is, or frankly, don't give a shit. There's plenty of businesses that are doing plenty well that just do not give a shit.
So
what can we do about that?
Back in the late 90s, I worked for a software developer who worked within the accounting industry, particularly. They were a value-added reseller of Great Plains. So Great Plains DOS and Great Plains Dynamics, which is now Microsoft Dynamics. And they had a really good relationship with one of the instructors at one of the technical colleges, and he ran a 2-year program for financial management. And I got called in to work with them so they can, kind of like take their skills that they've learned over the last couple of years and put it on display for their open house kind of sort of thing. And it was really interesting how ignorant they actually were after 2 years of book learning, and the attitudes were so what are you going to teach us? So I thought, you don't want to learn, or you don't want to hear what I'm going to try and tell you. So let's let you experience it. So we made them role play. I checked it out with the instructor and he said, sure, I'm here. You need backup. I got your back. Go ahead. What do you want to do? So we started with somebody building a t-shirt shop, starting off with, I'm doing, silk screening of t-shirts, because back then that was quite prevalent. Right? I got this great idea. I can do this in my basement, but my business is growing. And what do I need to do? But I'm busy answering the phone. I have to clean up, and knock, knock, knock. Here comes WCB on the door. WorkSafe is now here, and you need to be compliant. You need to do this. Are you paying yourself? Well, no, but we need to know what you do. Oh, IRS is calling, or Canada Revenue Agency is calling. Do you have payroll? Do you have these things? Are you doing this? And it's like, all of a sudden, now the whole room is now going, as this business is now growing out of the basement, and there's something else going on. And the one with the biggest attitude, I made him the business owner. And the one who was the quietest, I sort of whispered in the ear and said, be the biggest jerk that you can on the phone. Demand to talk to the owner, and be an adamant jerk about what you must have. And you had come from a government agency, and let's see what he does with that one. And it was kind of like everybody got into it. Like the hour and a half went by so fast, but there's a whole, look at all those moving pieces. There's 27 people in this room, and every single one of them had a role, whether they were a customer, they were ordering, they had a complaint, they had to do this, somebody had to do accounting, somebody was doing shipping, somebody had to do the janitor work, there was something for everybody. And they actually got a chance to see all of the moving pieces. And now it wasn't so abstract anymore. And some of it was just not attractive to them. I can't imagine why.
I think that's part of the problem with the current academic accounting education. It teaches accounting, and then accountants are expected to be the business minds, especially on the very small business level, but it's not taught. And a lot of accountants are only taught how to do accounting, whether it's bookkeeping, tax, a test, whatever. And eventually they run into those situations, And I do think, like, if in college I kind of had a part of a course where they're like, we're going to simulate a business and just run you through the shit show that is the IRS just called and doesn't have your W-2s. W-2s are a year-end payroll return in the US. We're just like, which, side note for everyone listening, I am a different person on a call with a tax agency. I am so polite. I'm like, we're working together. We're going to get this accomplished. Oh my God. On these calls, I'm just like, I'll curse left and right there. I'm just like, I'm the nicest goddamn human being that's ever existed. But yeah.
How can I help you get what you need? Please, can you just explain to me what I need to be able to do?
Exactly.
I'm sorry, maybe we missed something.
Yeah. I've thrown my own self under the bus a lot with tax agencies. I'm like, listen, I don't care, bro. You tell them I'm a piece of shit. I don't care if they knock some penalties off. All right. I'm the worst. But did anyone else have questions before we keep ranting about real life? Because we can, I don't know if anyone else had questions, but we can keep, no worries, Beverly. I just want to make sure. Oh, I think Stephanie has one.
Stephanie,
I don't know how to unmute people or ask them to come up. This isn't my show at all, to be honest, but
I'll see if I can unmute here. No, I can't unmute. I can.
She's
ask
unmuted now.
You're unmuted. There you go.
I just wanted to ask, so do you work with multiple areas, or do you specialize in like one specific area?
So I do still work with multiple types of industries, because when I started my practice, I was like a garden variety tax accountant, like the one that every town has, like, well, every town around here has like 10 of. And you kind of take what you can get. Side note, the area of the US I'm in, ton of accountants, so many accountants, right? And I just kind of took what I could get for a long time. So I do work with a bunch of industries. So I do have a bunch of tradesmen where I kind of do their tax returns, help them with their books. I have a retail shop. I don't take them anymore because as I've kind of gone on, I've realized where my limitations are, right? Which is something we don't want to admit when we're first starting. What types of work give me agita, give me anxiety, and I'm like, I can never do that again. I couldn't sleep while I did that engagement. And what parts of accounting and compliance and everything like that are like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like when you're in the water and it's shallow and you just kind of fall off this cliff in the water. And it's like there's certain areas of, at least in the US, American IRS tax compliance that are like that. And over the years, I've kind of learned, like, I do not take clients that are overseas, you know, because it's one of those things where it goes from simple to mega complex. So now I don't take certain industries. Like I don't take construction anymore. I don't take retail anymore because I could do a good enough job, right? I could get a tax return in, but I know that's like my limitation, right? If a marketing agency came now and was like, oh, tell me all about cash flow, and we've literally I've yapped for like last 90 minutes about it, right? But if a retail company came to me or a construction company came to me and was like, we need help with cash flow, I've got thoughts on it, but I don't have the same sort of experience. So like, for example, Beverly is saying that they only pay once a month. You know, that's something that like you got experience. So I guess the answer is both. I have a bunch of different industries, but now going forward, I'm trying to stay in the marketing servicey space. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of where I am. I used to deal with lots of different industries, and a lot of them don't make me feel good. So I'm trying to not do that anymore, but I still like working with the small and medium-sized businesses. So it's like trying to find that happy medium. And I'm trying to do tax resolution now. So that's kind of where we're going. Because I prefer really not talking to anybody. So working in tax resolution, it's limited to the IRS and people who actually know what's going on. So
and to talk about what accounting thought leaders get wrong again, but a different topic is when people talk about niching, they make it seem like an all or nothing, like you must drop all your clients, you must dive deep into a niche. At the end of the day, it's our businesses, like it's your business. If you like doing, 80% of it is tax resolution work, but you like having 20% just for the variety, I mean, maybe it's not uber optimized, super duper profitable, but who the hell is everyone else to say you can't do that? Right. And that's one of the kind of prevailing thoughts right now in accounting, that you have to be super niched. And as long as you're doing a good job and doing good work by the client and they get more value from your work than they pay you,
I think there's also something to be said about, there's a lot of prevalent talk about niching vertically, but you can also niche horizontally, where maybe you're dealing with 2 to 4 industry vertical segments, but you're doing CFO work or tax advice or bookkeeping, like whatever that looks like. So I think it really does depend on, what you really want to do. I've been through enough courses and talked to enough people that really starts with your why, right? Like why, what do you want to do and what really drives you? To Mike's point, like if you love doing 80% of something or that's what pays the bills and that 20% drives the happiness, like that's okay. That's completely okay.
And that is the problem I have with a lot of prevailing accounting talk right now.
Oh,
That
yeah.
a lot of people are like, this is how you should run your business. But at the end of the day, the uncomfortable conversation we all don't want to have is it comes down to why we want to do it. There's stages in business. There's making enough money to survive. And then once you're there, you get the leeway to figure out what the hell you want to do, you know? And as long as you're not a shyster, like, do it, you know? You don't have to follow what they say on the Cloud Accounting podcast or whatever. You can send the recording to Blake.
Murdered for that comment.
Send it to Blake. Now we can't put this episode on earmark, right? I gotta be careful. I don't mean that as a shit talk of Blake, but or David or whatever. But I feel like in the accounting industry, there's a handful of thought leaders that talk about how accounting firms are supposed to be run, and like, God forbid you want to run it a different way. Like, yeah, okay, you can't commit fraud. All right, that's wrong. But like, if you want to have two specialties and that works for the way your brain is, and it just makes you happy, and you don't have to build the next mega firm, you know, I probably won't, you know.
Yeah. I think that's a really good point, because a lot of these thought leaders are gearing towards you want to grow a big firm. And it's how do you get there? And that's usually standardization, systems, processes.
Yeah.
Like even we talk about it, but you do have to take it with a grain of salt. Like in everything we teach, we always say, what do you want? Like you got to start with that, because that drives who do you want to work with? Because if you hate working with construction people, you probably shouldn't work with them. Like it's gonna drive you nuts, and you're gonna hate your life. So don't do it. But once you got that figured out,
like you're saying though, like you could even build a practice. You could scale and have 2-3 niches, but you're like more horizontal. You could be like, yeah, we're hella good at cash flow forecasting for inventory based businesses. And inventory based businesses could be retail, e-com, hospitality, like restaurants. And it's like, technically, yeah, those are different industries. But if your thing is cash flow forecasting around the inventory part, which is the most complex part of that cash flow forecast, if I
100%
do say so
especially
myself,
for e-com,
right? You could specialize in that. The traditional thought leadership would say pick only hospitality, right? But if you really like, or if you're really good at cash flow forecasting around inventory issues, you could do all three, you know? I mean, there is something to be said that if you only niche into hospitality, you get really good at understanding the ingredient supply chain and, you know, Cisco's billing methods or whatever. But you don't have to. You could scale a firm just on the cash flow aspect of it. You don't have to be like the super in-depth, I know everything about this industry advisor. All right. There can be other advisors. I'm sure there's a supply chain advisor that can answer those questions for them.
In my own firm, like we are quite comfortable saying we're really good at that controllership piece. We do have bookkeeping, but bookkeeping to me is structured process, this, that, the other. But when taxes start getting crazy, or you got import export, or you got GST sales tax issues here in Canada, like that's not our space, but we're more than happy to reach out to the people that are and work with them. Like that's our job, right? So I mean, you can not know everything, I guess is my point, and still be effective.
Yep. And I think, just to keep yapping, that we're going to see a lot more of that as part of the specializing thing. I think right now there's like clear delineations between like assurance work and tax work. Those are different silos in accounting firms, and we're all like totally cool with that right now. But unless you're at like big firms or like mega firms, controllership and accounting is kind of seen to be part of the tax function to a certain extent. And I think as we're going on, we're going to see more controllership firms that are like, no, we don't do tax. We can make sure your finance back office is running, and you can have a tax guy or gal, but we don't do it. And that is specializing in a certain way. And if you don't want to do the tax portion, I'm sure there's someone that'll do it for money. You know what I mean? Like, you don't gotta, like, I hate sales tax. Oh my God. I have like 1 or 2 clients I do sales tax for. It is the bane of my existence. The second a potential lead is like, I'm an e-com, I'm like, that sounds like a sales tax nightmare. No thanks. Like, technically I'm a tax accountant. I should do sales tax, but it's my fucking, I hate it. Same with payroll. People are like, can you run the payroll? I'm like, listen, tech is at a point where you can run the payroll. All right. I'm not managing the shit for you anymore. That's why we have Gusto in the US or whatever Canada uses. I forgot. But this is why we have it. I'm going to set it up and you're going to run it. I'm going to train your secretary to run it. When something goes wrong, call me. I'm not doing this every week. So it's like a whole ring. A lot of compliance accounting, like sales tax and payroll and things that were a big part of what accountants did 40 years ago, I hate. Ugh. My dad's practice had a lot of it because, like, you needed an accountant to manage it for you. But now we got the software. Don't ask me to do your payroll.
Noted.
Right? No payroll. I'll set up Gusto for you. I'll be the person you call, and then I'll forward your email to my account manager. But like, I'm not doing it. Yeah. Don't ask me to do ticky-tacky, boring compliance. Sorry. That's the moral of this story. That's why I want to get into advisory, is really the takeaway from all this, because if I have to
say Michael hates everything, so therefore
that's pretty much it. I don't actually enjoy anyone. I'm just hoping I can talk enough to the point where people like respect my opinion and will pay just for that. Not for my advice on a one-on-one level, but like I'll be a thought leader and people will buy sponsorships and like a NASCAR driver. You know what I mean? I'm gonna show up to conferences with like different emblems.
A bunch of logos on your wall.
Yeah. Oh, like back here?
Right.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have shirts with conferences are
Get on the
expensive.
Cloud
Someone
Accounting
wants to pay
podcast.
my ticket. Conferences are expensive. Where does AICPA get off charging $2,000 or whatever for Engage? Can't be that good. Have you ever? Every conference I go to like the. Sorry, this is going to be like real shit talking for a second. Whenever you go to the actual events, you're like, these fucking suck. They're no better than continuing education or these kinds of things, right? Why are you charging me $1,000? The good part is getting drunk at Gusto's event afterwards. I'll just pay them $75. They can run a party once in a while. We all kind of get together once in a while. We'll pick a city. We'll let all the vendors have their parties, right? Mark will sponsor me. But like, that's the thing. No one goes to conferences to learn anymore, at least. Which is a side note that a lot of state societies will. Does Canada have province CPA societies? I don't know, but a lot of them will have to come to terms with in-person CPE isn't the only way to get it, and either you have to step your game up or get crushed by people who know what the hell they're doing. Right? Yeah. I don't know if you guys have that problem up there. We're having that down here. It's like the CPA society is like, what we do? It's a crisis. Maybe stop sending me emails. Somehow I've been on all these CPA society emails and they always are like a little bit shady towards the EAs. I'm an EA, which is fine. I get it. But stop sending me like insulting emails. It's like I'm checking my inbox at like 11 a.m. and they're talking shit to me. See you later, Bethway. So annoying. There's one. All right, this is the last thing. And if anyone has any questions, we'll do that and then we'll wrap up. There's one CPA society near me that EAs can join. They pay the same amount as the CPA, but don't get voting rights. And I'm just like, mathematically, you must see the problem with that. This is a room full of accountants. You must see how the value is different. Not that I want to vote, but you got to see. Oh, Beverly, the difference between a CPA and an EA, CPA is general accounting, and they can represent before the IRS and attest to financials. An EA can only represent before the IRS. But none of my clients need assurance work. So, hey, but,
Yep. So who cares?
yes, Beverly, enrolled agent. But yeah, no, that's actually why I'm not a CPA. Who cares, right? Because my dad's a CPA. He's been a CPA for like 40 plus years, and he doesn't do assurance at all. He never signs financials, not even like a compilation perspective. And he was like, "You don't need to be a CPA." And I was like, "Oh wow, okay." And then I came out into the real world and realized EAs are like a tier 3 underneath CPAs, and not having those 3 letters apparently doesn't make me a real accountant anymore. So annoying. Ooh, I don't have letters.
You're not pissed off about that about it.
I'm an EA too. I understand.
I used to be more pissed off, right? And it's a chip that a lot of EAs have, because like, not the accounting elites, but you do have a lot of CPAs that genuinely feel like EAs are lesser than them. And when I started my practice originally, that was like hurtful. But now that I've built a little bit of reputation for myself, and I've won the same awards the CPAs win, I'm like, you can say what the fuck you want, because I'm invited to the same event as you. Oh, like,
yeah,
like I won
I'm in the southern hemisphere, so I get it, and get a bunch of these crazy people. And I have to remind them, and remember, you call me to help your client.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't know what they're doing.
There's a bunch of it. Ugh. But I could have a whole hour-long thing about that, CPA versus EA.
It sounds like we need to have another show.
Let's
just with you. Let's do it.
I mean, it's just I'm gonna start my own kind of recurring weekly event where it's just literally like just me drinking and complaining about finances, and then I'm going to turn it into content.
People would watch. Guarantee it.
People might. It's going to be like half an hour of me just complaining about invoices and just cursing.
Drunk.
I had meant to drink on this one. I actually have a Truly here, and I just didn't feel like it.
Well, see, is that like a sponsor right there?
If they would sponsor me, I would. There are not enough alcohol sponsors.
We'll have to cut that out and do a spot.
just censor it when it comes up on the recording. No, but I'm going to start doing that Tuesday evenings, because we don't have enough fun kind of BSC events. Everything in accounting is so serious, but like, as long as we're not in the books, who cares? Yeah, we have to be serious and not committing fraud when we're doing the accounting, but the rest of the time we don't.
Yeah, 100%.
I have to curse.
But I think it's good to show, because there's a lot of people on LinkedIn like yourself that are starting to actually show that, and you know, there's success behind it.
Which fucking sucks, because like that used to be my shtick. I can't. Every now and then, Nikki McKenzie posts something very friendly that everyone loves. I'm like, listen, stay fuck in your lane. All right. This is my area. Go back to wherever else you were hanging out. Tax Twitter, although she wouldn't hang out on Tax Twitter, but I mean, let's hope she doesn't watch this.
I'm gonna send it to her.
Send it to her. I'm just like going through the list of every accountant I know. I'm like, fuck that guy. They're all good people.
We're gonna have to get you and her on the same show. You guys can have a fight.
Yeah, she does. She's on Sons of CPA a lot now with Scott. What's his face?
Yeah, Scott.
Scarno?
Yep.
Yeah. I like how there's like 10 people in the accounting space that everyone knows the name of, and like that's it. There's 20 influencers.
You hate them all.
No, they're all good people. I just think my view of accounting is correcter than theirs. No, the thing with all the accounting, I guess, influencers or whatever, is they are all willing to take a step away from academic accounting and actually think about accounting. So they're not typically the people I get into arguments with that are like gung-ho about we have to do it the old way. Did you see the post about balance sheets I did, by the way?
Oh, I don't think I saw that one.
to clue everyone in, I said balance sheets are overrated in small businesses, and it's like you like kick their fucking dog or something. It's just a financial fucking statement. As we go further, I'm just gonna keep cursing more, because at this point we have to cut half of this out. We've been over the hour mark like for 40 minutes, but
I'm actually surprised people are still on, to be honest.
Right? It's just us hanging out, and people are like,
yeah.
No, but I said balance sheets are overrated in the small business environment, and it was as if I had to kick someone's dog. I was like, it's just a financial report, right? I didn't say anything about your mother. Like, let's take a step back. People got upset. To explain, I guess, to give context is, my thought is in small businesses, their financial function isn't strong enough to have accurate balance sheets. So what's the point of regularly reviewing them? Because they're frequently filled with errors. And then even when they're not filled with errors, they have so little information that you can't really make decisions off it in small businesses, right? Because like everyone says, oh, I'm supposed to break loans payable into current and long-term. No one's doing that for small businesses. Not to mention, no business owner knows what the hell a loan payable is and how that's different than the total amount they have due in the next year. They don't understand the nuance. It doesn't fucking matter. But
I can tell you how many times I've split the two. None.
Right? But like academic accounting is like interest is an expense. Yeah. Principal payments go against payable. Business owners don't care. They want to know payments due in the next 90. They don't care the amount of principal due in the next 90. Right? Yeah. Got serious again there for a second, but yeah. Had to explain my balance sheet position before everyone leaves.
That's just a whole other video right there too. We're gonna have like 3 videos on.
That is how I get kicked out of the accounting profession. The good thing is I'm not a CPA, so the AICPA can't call me and talk shit and be like, you need to stop talking, which apparently they do. I have heard they will like get in contact and be like, you're giving us a bad name. But I am in EA, and only the IRS can touch me. And the IRS doesn't give a shit as long as I don't commit tax fraud. They don't care. Side note to chat, to talk about chat, Wendy, my newsletter is at restingbusinessface.com, and it is not as fun and full of curses as I am right now. It's a little bit more serious.
It's a really good newsletter, though.
Thank you.
It is really good. I gotta ask, let's make this the last question, or else it'll be another 2 hours from here.
I said that like
how did you come up with the name Resting Business Face?
So originally the name of the newsletter was Ordinary and Necessary, which is a very clever joke amongst tax accountants in the US, because ordinary and necessary is what makes expenses deductible in American tax accounting. I had to explain that because there's no reason for you to have known that niche thing, right? And I was really proud of myself with that one, but only accountants would find that funny. And I kind of struggled with a name for a long time, and I don't know where Resting Business Face came from. But one day I thought of it. I was like, that's it. That's going to be my business name forever. That's going to be the newsletter name. That's going to be the everything name. That's too clever. Someone has it on TikTok, though, which kind of screws the whole thing up. But other than that, yeah, but I got the domain, so who's laughing now? I got the more important one.
That's funny.
Right?
I'm trying to get the link here.
Oh, that's also part of the reason I wanted to stop. My original firm name was Eckstein Tax Services, and in my head, my business is still Eckstein Tax, like up here. It really sucks to go on podcasts and be like, oh, you can find more info at Eckstein Tax Services. Then I have to like spell it, and everyone's like out for a jog. They're not going to remember. At least with Resting Business Face, it like sticks in your mind a little better. Well, that's my justification. I can just keep talking shit about accounting if y'all want.
Yeah, just keep going while I'm.
All right, so the problem with CFOs.
There we go. Apparently, Trent's back and posting here. There you go.
But yeah,
I believe that's it. Let me know if that's wrong.
that's it. Yeah, all those words are spelled right. It's funny how, like, in the accounting industry, like, you're good with words, it's a compliment. Like, they're like, damn, you were good at words. Someone told me that the other week, and I was like, thanks. It's like, oh, all right.
Funny.
My high school English teacher would disagree, but that's as much as I feel like I was tricked into accounting. At least I picked an industry where no one else can write, and I have, like, no serious competition. Do you know how difficult it would be to be an influencer in, like, the marketing space? Everyone is an influencer in the marketing space. In accounting, there's like 20 of us. Yep. I'm not even an influencer, but, like, by default, if you make the list long enough, like, if you want to do top 100, and there's only so many, at a certain point, you got to put me on the list. You run out of names. Have you seen Accounting Today has a list of top most influential people in the accounting space? Half of them are politicians. They're like President Biden. I was like, well, technically, I guess by definition, side note for people that don't get it, in the US, the IRS doesn't decide taxes. Technically, Congress writes tax law. The president would have to sign it, then the IRS. So I guess technically he's influential, because if he vetoed it, it'd fuck the whole thing up. But no one's listening to his podcast, right? I saw one list. I was like, at least put Blake on this list. Everyone listens to this podcast. Yeah, that's my gripe with that list. Am I upset because I didn't get on it? Yes.
I see a theme here. You carry a lot of angst with you.
Oh, I'm an overall grumpy person, which is why I'm constantly surprised I'm so popular on LinkedIn. That, like, in real life, part of it is the New York thing. Part of it is I take after my dad, and he's an even grumpier version than I am. Huh? Very. He's grumpy. My dad is the financial consultant. If you need someone to pick up the phone and tell someone to go fuck themselves, he's like, just give me the phone. He, like, no emotions. He's that one. Yeah, he's not here right now, or otherwise we'd never say that.
Mark's cheering you on.
People like it. I mean, I think the thing is that even though every accounting thought leader and influencer is different, it's all the same flavor of the same thing. So everyone's like, oh, thank God, something different. Someone's going to start a fight about balance sheets. Can't wait to watch that drama. We need something to talk about at conferences, right? We need something to be like, did you see that LinkedIn post? That article in Accounting Today was so wrong. Yeah. Anyone have questions? Or I'm just going to keep fucking shit talking until everyone leaves. Marketing at Helm can't leave. It's his job to stay here. The rest of y'all.
Yeah. They gotta stay here. I think at some point we're probably going to run out of Zoom room on our recording.
Yeah, I think that's, like, the fucked up thing, that, like, after this, he's going to have 2 hours to go through and edit. Is he going to bleep every single curse? That's going to be a pain in the ass. I'm just going to keep cursing at this point. Let's make his job harder. I tried editing a video this weekend. It sucks. And I only had an hour. He's about to have 2.
Video editing is the worst. You need like an auto tune.
I think a client of mine actually is an auto tune and did a call on auto tune. I was like, I need to turn that off. No idea what you're saying. But I think I said this in my original post. The marketing team would not enjoy this too much. It's all right. I mean, I don't pay his
he'll at least get
salary.
Some chuckles.
He doesn't pay my salary. It's cool, man. Marketing at Helm.
Funny.
Yeah, let's save the rest of the shit talking for the next episode.
We'll have another session. I think we'll have another session.
I'll come back and rage.
So, like that was the last question that I was supposed to ask, though, is based on who you know and respect, who should we invite on the next show?
Oh, fuck, man. Apparently no one, as this last 2 hours has taught us anything. Everyone's an idiot. I mean, as far as accountants, you want accountants?
Yeah, anybody, accountants preferably, maybe.
Side note,
Thought
and you're going
leaders
to
in
know
the industry that you want.
Side note, and this is going to be a real shit talk thing to say, and you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. Not that one cash flow guy that doesn't know what the fuck accrual is. You know who I'm talking about. He blames cash flow problems on accrual bookkeeping. It has nothing to do with accrual. Anyway, not that guy. I don't know. I mean, realistically, in the accounting space, you've got 20 names to pick from. One of them.
Who do you think would be fun? Maybe we'll get you to join and roast them a bit.
Who would be fun? I mean, Scott from Sons of CPAs would be fun. Nikki might be fun. Whoever's just raging nonstop on tax Twitter, there's like 3 of them that just like, if for people that don't follow tax Twitter, it is pretty much a bunch of accountants just cursing and complaining about running an American tax firm. And it gets really good during like peak tax season because like the curses start spiking. And then you have, what's her face? Tax girl is like, guys, please stop. And it's just like, somehow she's our chaperone. We're all like, all right. She's one of the OG influencers. We gotta listen to her. She seems like a nice lady. I've never interacted with her. And we're going to send her this too. I'm trying to think who else.
Scott or Nikki. We'll try to get
Scott,
it done.
Nikki. I'm sure Ryan Lazanis would say yes if you asked him. Just pull the Canadian angle. Be like, there's 3 Canadian accountants, please.
3.
Name other famous Canadian accountants.
Chad Davis. You don't know who Chad David is, do you?
Keep going. I said there's 3. We're only at 2.
Twyla Verhelst. That's an easy one. There you go.
Can't use Twyla.
Come on. Yeah, I can.
That's cheating. For people that don't know,
She's
she's
like the most
one
famous
of the
person I know, and I
co-founders.
know her. Like, come on. That's like the easiest one.
She's pretty famous.
Come on. Like, seriously.
That's cheating. You can't.
Rachel
use her.
Fish. Rachel Fish.
All right, we're at 4. But you get what I'm
Already
going.
surpassed
What's your
you.
face? Kelly Comwater at Comwaters or whatever.
Yeah. Kelly Parks.
Yes, Kelly Parks. And
Yep. There's a whole list. I'm going to get in trouble for
Brooke or
not
something?
remembering people's name.
Oh man, there's one on the tip of my tongue that I lost. But anyway, the point is there's like 3 famous accountants in Canada and there's like 6 in the US. And
We'll just pick one. All right.
right, you don't have options. If you want to make this like an every other week show, you will run out within a year. So just get all of them.
Touche.
You just go get the list of famous accountants and be like, hey, you want to come and
Hang out and see if you can make it for 2 hours.
make it for 2 hours. And
You're
if
setting
people
the bar
actually-
high.
I am setting the bar high. I was interesting for most of these 2 hours, at least the first 30 minutes, I think. But Clayton was here for a little bit. You could have him on.
I have beers with Clayton every Wednesday, so I'll get the scoop tomorrow.
Who else is a speaking circuit? What's his face? Kenji from Acuity. I mean, it depends what you want to talk about and how polite you want it to be.
Whatever.
Because
you really didn't need to go this in depth on it. I was just asking for like a quick.
I don't. We're just because
You're
that's
good.
the real
You're good.
problem. How polite do you want him to be, and how accurate accounting do you want them to be? Because those are 2 different types of accountants,
True.
right?
It's very true.
We need
All right.
more assurance influencers. Anyway, that's it. More people need.
Let's call her a day, or else we'll be here forever.
Yeah.
Wendy's calling it. Wendy's calling it. Thank you, Wendy.
Perfect. Thank you, Wendy. We needed that.
Honestly, though, thanks everybody that actually stayed till the end here. I'm super impressed. But thank you,
It's
Michael,
'cause I'm an
for
influencer.
hopping on the first call.
It's because I'm an influencer. That's why they're here. It's my clout.
Yeah.
All right.
But seriously, thanks for jumping on the show.
Problem.
It was a lot of fun, and there's a ton of stuff that we haven't actually even talked about. So I'm sure we could have
Right.
another one.
Let's do another one. And yeah, we'll talk shit another time, or I'll talk shit.
Yeah, and if anybody has any suggestions for about what we could talk shit about, just let us know.
Any topics to rant on? Anything in the accounting industry is fair game. How much I hate CFOs, business coaches, things like that.
There you go. All right. Thank you, everybody. We'll end it there and call it a day. Hope everybody has a good day. And thanks again for showing up.
Bye, guys.